I want to minimize my pension contributions now for the next 3 or 4 years and instead put all my money towards this mortgage to pay it off. Would you say that's a good idea or a bad idea, or?
It's a personal preference thing, because mortgages and pensions, you can stack them up side by side, and you could say, right, a mortgage is going to be as an example, a 4% debt, for example. You know that debt's going to be payable every year. It's 4% every year on whatever you've borrowed. Now, if you stack them up side by side and you said, right, we could make this excess payment off your mortgage of £20,000, or we could put that £20,000 into a pension, you got to look at those two things and look at what happens with that £20,000. Okay, so if we paid off the mortgage, we've cleared the debt by £20,000 and we've saved the 4% interest on that we would have paid otherwise. 4% on, so there's your repayment amount and there's your interest amount on the monthly repayments.
Yeah.
You don't know, and there's no way that I could advise that somebody is going to earn more in growth by investing into a pension fund or whatever the investments are underlying in a pension.
Yeah.
I couldn't say to anybody, well, that's going to earn more than 4% a year, so you should invest there. Because certainly over a short period like 12 months, you just don't know that, because a lot of that's dictated to by external factors that are out of our control.
Yeah.
More long term, you can start to build a much more confident view of what our return profile is going to look like. But if we're just looking at 12 months by 12 months, what she should do. Okay, fine. So in that instance, I'd say clearing off the debt's better, because that is 4% that you know you're going to have to pay. That's a guarantee, it's a certainty.
Yes.
Against a potential for a higher rate of return than 4%, but also a potential for a lower rate of return than 4%. So go with the certainty option. However, with a pension, if you put that £20,000 into a pension, she's going to get an immediate uplift from the government of tax relief. So she's going to get 20% added to her pension pot. Well, 20% grossed up. So £5,000 will be added to her pension pot straight away.
Yeah.
So that £20,000 becomes £25,000. Additionally, at the end of the tax year, because she's such a high earner, the £25,000 gross contribution that's gone into her pension will be taken into account when she does her self-assessment. And what happens is that £25,000 personal pension contribution has the effect of extending her basic rate tax band by £25,000. So whereas her basic rate tax band would have stopped at everybody's standard rate of £50,270 previously, she now has £75,000, £270 of her income taxed at 20%, which she would have been paying as normal tax throughout the year, but at the end of the tax year, she'll get a tax rebate for another £5,000. So her tax bill will reduce by £5,000. She'll have had another £5,000 added to her pension. So that £20,000 that she was considering paying the mortgage off, she's managed to get an additional £10,000 benefit from, and has got it invested into her pension where it's growing tax-free. So when I factor all of those things in, I would suggest pay what you can afford on the mortgage, great. And if there's any more you can pay off, brilliant. But if it's a this or that, I am pretty much always going to say pension. There's some circumstances where some people are on really high mortgage rates and interest rates really high, and you think, God, just pay that down as quickly as you can.
Yeah.
But for most people, I think making pension contributions is going to be a better way of using some any excess cash you've got.
Okay. The reason why I ask all that is because I've been contemplating, like, I want to purchase my first property next year as well. And I'm in a decent position now, but I do want to grow. I have just a little bit more of my investments, etc.
Yeah.
But it's me putting a deposit down and having quite a lot. So if I put down, say, 20% deposit, I have 80% left to pay.
Yep.
And then interest on top of that.
Yep.
Which, you know, over a 30-year mortgage could almost be double the house price.
Yeah.
Which is so scary.
Yeah.
And I don't know what my 30 years, my future, I want it to be fruitful, but we can't guarantee that our futures are always fruitful, or that we're in good enough health to maintain what we're even making right now. So, I mean, in thinking of that, it's actually kind of stopped me from even thinking that I want to purchase a property next year. I'd rather put my money into investments and let it grow until I have enough cash to buy something outright, which, I mean, everyone's different. It's all about personal preference as well.
Yeah.
So within that, obviously, I'm going to keep putting money into pension, which is money I would never see. So, but investment money that I put into, say, stocks or shares, a general investment account, crypto, things like gold and stuff like that. Those are things I could sell when the market's great. And that's the type of money I want to be able to use to just purchase a house outright, hopefully at some point. I just think house prices, even though the house price might run away from me as well, at the minute the average house price in Bristol is around 300,000 or something like that. I'm not too sure. It'll maybe just under. Who knows, by the time, say it takes me 10 years to make the money to buy it outright, or to have comfortably the money to buy it outright and still have remaining assets that can still grow, the house price could possibly be 450,000 average house price, which then means I'm still trying to, build my assets and buy something. Yeah, which is, those are the things I think about, and it's a struggle. I think just putting down the biggest deposit possible is what's going to help me, and just working my arse off to pay the rest off. But if I was that's why I asked what I asked about her situation, because I was in her position, I would just, buckle down for a few years, not eat out expensive foods, you still enjoy once or twice a month.
Yeah.
But realistically, we could all probably survive on like 20 grand a year. I mean, it's for a person who has 200,000, the lifestyle is definitely going to be very different.
Yeah.
But the sacrifices you make can, give you great dividends in the future.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head. Firstly, there's a lot of it's down to everyone's got their own appetite for risk. Everyone's got their own different preferences. Everyone's got their own different objectives. And as an advisor, I've got to understand how everybody ticks. What are your key objectives? How do you feel about certain things? What are your sort of goals? What are your dreams? And then understand that to create a financial plan for them. Now, that then fits in with the sort of principles and basics of financial planning, which is, as I mentioned earlier, clearing debt, savings, investing. And for someone like her we were talking about, of course, ideally, everything you buy is outright cash. I think I mentioned it in the last session. It's one of the reasons why people who have money stay wealthier. Yeah. Because for someone who can buy a house outright, it costs them whatever they've paid for it. But for someone on a 35-year mortgage, you're right, you probably end up paying close to double what you've bought it for. Yeah. So it's so much more expensive.